Flixier is kind of the Google Stadia of editing. And what I mean by that is the whole time up to this point, I've been recording all of the footage and everything on my main PC, which you can see that I've been editing all of that up here. I've got my screen recording going on up here. That's actually what I'm recording my voice on right now. But if I wanted to, I could then just come down here to my Acer C720 Chromebook, and I could pick this up and just go. Upload it, but let's say all you've got is maybe an old laptop that's not very well powered anymore, or even worse. So with Flixier, you can start editing on one machine, and then if you wanted to, you could pick up and edit on the go, say with a Chromebook or some other portable device. So let's say you recorded a YouTube video and now you want to edit it and upload it, but let's say all you've got is maybe an old laptop that's not very well powered anymore, or even worse, what if you've only got a Chromebook? Neither of those options are going to be great as far as having the power to render a video that's had some editing done to it. So in this video, what I want to do is actually show you a new service that I just found out about called Flixier. So Flixier is a relatively new service that's still in development and has been for about the last year. Recently, one of the co-founders named Paul reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in checking out what it is they're doing, and he found me because of my Chromebook videos. So basically, what you want to do is think of Flixier like Google Stadia for editing. The application and all of the processing power are actually done on AWS or Amazon Web Services, so you've got a great amount of processing power available through your browser. So as we're going through this, and I kind of show you around the application itself, keep in mind that there are some things that they are still working on and developing while we're kind of going through this. So definitely keep those things in mind. I'll point out a few things as we go, but let's go ahead and jump over to my desktop where we can see how Flixier works. Okay, so here we are on my desktop. We are in the Flixier projects page, and from here you can create new projects, revisit old projects, continue working on projects, and that's something that I really want to show you a little bit later on as well. From here you've got access to your user account, your account settings, billing, those sorts of things, and I was going to kind of go through the front end of the website, the public facing area, but after talking to Paul over there at Flixier, he explained that the numbers that are there don't really make a lot of sense yet. So I didn't want to put out information that I know was going to change, especially when it comes to billing and pricing and those sorts of things. So what I want to focus on here is more the back-end functionality and how the application works in your browser via the AWS or Amazon Web Services. So here we are in the back end where you can see projects that I've been kind of messing around with, checking out, that sort of thing. So what we can do here is we can either create a new project or visit an old project. So let's go ahead and actually create a new project. And what I'm going to do here is a little bit meta. I'm actually going to edit the video you're watching, or in fact, by the time you have seen this video, it will have been edited on Flixier with the project that I'm creating right now. So we're going to go ahead and call this Flixier. And I'll click on create. So from here, there's not really much going on. And the reason for that is we've got to import some files. So when we come over here and click on the little blue import button, we're going to be given some options where we can upload from the device that we're on, whether it's a phone, a Chromebook, a tablet, our PC, whatever the case may be. We can upload directly from our device, from Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, or we could use our microphone and our camera to record audio directly to their services. So for the sake of what we're doing here, what I want to do is actually upload some clips from my device. So go ahead and click on that, and then we'll go over to videos, and then we'll scroll down to where I've got some more recent videos. So let's see. We're going to upload, those three. So once you've selected the files that you're going to be using for your project, you can actually just come over here and click import all. And of course, you can add more files to this later. These are just the three files that I'm going to start with. So up here, you can see that all 3 files are uploading, and they've got actually the percentage of their upload going in the little circle there with the progress bar and whatnot. So we'll go ahead and give that just a few seconds or a couple of minutes to upload, and then we'll come back and take another look at this. Okay, so once you've got all of your files uploaded, or at least enough files to get started, the next thing you want to do is actually put them on the timeline. So there's a couple of ways you can get that process started. You can come down here to the left and click on Add a New Group, or you can just grab your first clip and drag it over here and line it up, and then you should be good to get started with your edit. So what we can do is we'll come back here to the very beginning, and we'll just click play. And we'll just kind of come back to about there. And then with our timeline or our marker right here, we can just click on our clip and then the scissors, and then we can just drag that over. We can bring our timeline cursor to the beginning. And of course, I took a couple of tries at that intro, so we'll go ahead and edit all of those extra ones out. Oh, it was layering them. That's interesting. Okay, so if you cut something out, be sure to delete it before you drag this over, or it will end up having multiple clips there running with the audio underneath. So that's something I actually just learned. So let's go ahead and go back to the beginning and try again. Bring that back just a little bit. Oops. Click here and click there. And then we're going to click and we'll delete, drag over, and try again. So we'll go ahead and cut. And I think right there is probably pretty good. So we'll do that, and we'll delete, and we'll drag over. Okay, so you kind of get the idea on how importing footage works, putting it on your timeline, and kind of cutting things up, moving things around, that sort of thing. So what I'll do now, since you kind of got the gist of that, I'm gonna kind of speed through the rest of this edit. I'm gonna do a screen cap with kind of a time lapse here, and I'll kind of pop in periodically to show you some different features that I'll be using as I'm going along. So let's jump back over there and get that part of the edit done. Okay guys, so this next clip that you're about to watch has some time lapse and some things like that in it that I wasn't able to edit on Flixier, just because there are some things, like I mentioned, that aren't working just yet. Time remapping, keyframes, audio tracks, things like that. Well, audio, there's a little bit of things that you can do with that, but time remapping and keyframes aren't in the system yet. I know that they're working on keyframes and that sort of thing. So this little time lapse, I did edit in Premiere and then import into here, but just understand that I did have to do that in the third-party program, in this case Adobe Premiere, just because keyframes and time remapping aren't available just yet. Okay, so here we are, we're back on my desktop. We're doing some more editing here. I've gone ahead and kind of clipped these out so that I think they'll flow fairly well together, but it'll give me a chance to then kind of show you some other stuff with the editing itself. So if we go ahead and watch this. Okay, so right there, where I went from this clip to this clip, there's nothing really good going on there. So what I want to do is just kind of make it a bit more dramatic, show that we switched clips and make the jump cut not quite as harsh, I suppose. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to my second clip here, and then I'll come over to our transform clip or transform option up here at the top right. What I want to do is make sure that maintain proportions is checked, and then what I'll do is I'll just make it a bit bigger, and then I'll go ahead and recenter it. And you can see the yellow lines there will do a good job of making sure that we know that things are centered. Now, what you'll notice is what you may hopefully notice is there are some black lines here, and that's your safe zone. This is actually where the video will be. So if I come back and I play this, so there you can see that it didn't play anything outside those lines. So this way you can see what's going on and not have to be real concerned about what's inside and what's outside the lines. As long as you know that whatever's inside this black line all the way around there, that's what's going to show up. You don't have to worry about all of the stuff that's outside of that. So let's go ahead and then add our next clip there. Okay, so one of the things that you may notice, or may have noticed at this point, if you used a program like Final Cut or Premiere Pro or something like that, is that the audio and the video tracks are just kind of one and the same. There is an option up here on these. If you click on one of your video files, you can come up and click the speaker icon here, and you can adjust the volume, but there aren't any separate audio and video tracks. I believe that is something that they are working on doing. It's just not something that's available at the moment, which is kind of a shame because I use audio markers quite a bit when I edit. So my edit here will be a little slower than normal, but just understand it is something that they are still working on. Okay, so I think this is a good spot because I've gone from kind of a talking head thing where I've switched over to my desktop. Right in this area would be a good spot to put in some kind of a visual transition. So what we'll do is we'll actually come up here, we'll say add a new track, and then we can come over to one of the little icons over here and do transitions. Don't really want to do a transition here. I could do something like a dip to white, like so. But I don't really like the way that looks. So what I want to do is actually come up to here. Where the heck is it? There we go. And they've got some different options here. Let's drag this up. Let's move that. And let's see how that looks. Okay, so I like that. I think that's a good thing, or a good transition there. But let's see if we can change the colors here, and we can. So what I want to do is I want to do something kind of like that. Let's see here how this looks. Yeah, I think that'll work. Oops. Darn it. Like edit here. Click the light blue. Let's make sure. Again, like so. Great. We'll click Save Animation and try that again. Okay, so while we're here and we're doing some editing and that sort of thing, there's a couple other little things that I wanted to show you with regards to color correction and that sort of thing, because that is something that we can do in Flixier. So what we'll do is we'll go over here and we'll select our clip. And then if we come up to the top right, the first thing here is an asset preview, and we can get an idea of our resolution and start time and duration, things like that. We can also come over here to color adjustments, where we can then brighten things up or undo. We can adjust the contrast, either way. And of course, if we start doing any of this stuff and we don't like how it looks, there's always that reset button there. We can drag we can drag the saturation down a little bit or undo. We can adjust colors, that sort of thing. Actually, I kind of like that green back there. I think that looks really neat. But of course, that would be super dangerous on a YouTube channel. So obviously, we're not gonna do that. If we come down a little further, we can adjust our red, green, and blue individually. So I dig that they've got those options in there. There's some basic filters in here that you could use if you wanted to. Those are pretty cool in there. You can do blurs, you can do noise, pixelate, like all kinds of, you can do offsets if you wanted to push something left or right. But we don't want to do any of that. So we'll go back and we'll set all of this back to default here. And of course, anytime you do something and you want to make sure that it gets saved, you can come up here and click the save button. Let's make sure, no, that all looks still looks pretty good, except that, let me make sure, I think, that all looks fine. So what else do we have? Oh, we've got transform, which we already talked about a little bit here. Let's go a little further in, where we can set the horizontal and vertical position there. I'm going to set all of that back to 0. We can rotate, which I already showed. You could do that if you wanted to. Again, unfortunately, there are no keyframes here, like I mentioned earlier. Excuse me. So you wouldn't be able to do animations as far as rotation and things like zooming in and out. Those kinds of things aren't going to work. At least not for now. Again, I know they are working on keyframes. There's just some things that aren't going to work great at this point because they're just not there. So just definitely keep that in mind if you're going through this. And of course, again, that we can adjust the volume here. My system is set up to record my desktop audio, so I can't really demonstrate that. Just know that you can come in here and set the audio to be from 0 to 100. You can't amplify anything at this point. Hopefully they will do that as well. But that's something else that just isn't quite there yet. But I think that pretty much covers everything there. I think I've covered. You can, if you wanted to, let's come to the end of my clip here. And they've integrated with Pexels, Pixabay, and Unsplash. So you could find, like, they've got some default stuff in here. Let's look for cats on Unsplash. So we could just drag this over here. Oops. Like so. And then we would have, a cat in here if we wanted it. Same thing if we went over to, Pixabay. Money is in there by default. You could drag that over and that sort of thing. Let's delete. There's no selecting all. You have to click each one and select it. But that's not a big deal, I don't think. We've talked about overlays with some of the transitions that I did there. Motion graphics. So if I wanted to come over here and say, scroll down and do something, YouTube related here, I could do that. And of course, I don't have 1.4 million. In fact, I just crossed over the 7,000 subscriber mark. I think I'm at like 7,030 something. Let's take a second and see what's going on there, what the actual numbers are. 7,032. So thanks to everybody who has helped me get over that 7,000 mark. Really appreciate it. That's all you guys at this point. So thank you for getting me to that point. So let's actually go in there and fix that. It's not 1.4K. It is. Let's bring that down to something a bit more reasonable. Let's say 1,000 likes. Be cool to get 1,000 likes on here. And let's say 7.03K. And we'll go ahead and copy that. And then we'll paste that in there as well. And then we'll click Save Animation. And let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks good. And I think I'm pretty happy with where that's located. But if I wasn't, I could just, oops, let's undo that. Let's come back to here. And let's see if I can find where that might, yeah, horizontal and vertical position. So it looks like I can drag this over. Let's stick it over here in the top right-hand corner. Let's see how that looks. So let's come back to here. Yeah, I think that works. I think that's a good spot for that. Let's see what else we could, let's see what else we might be able to do here. I think I'll just go ahead and add a few more of those in there. If I wanted to find some text. Now let's take that out. So I think that kind of gives you a general idea of how some of these different things work here. So let's go ahead and kind of wrap this video up from here and then get the video exported. Okay, so since I've shown you a good chunk of the editing and how that works, the other thing that's important to know here is actually how to export your files from Flixier over to YouTube if you wanted to do that. So let's go back over to my projects. This has been saved, so we're safe. Let's go back over to this project right here. This is something that was already in there, and I can just kind of show you what that looks like. So it's just a quick 12-second video about what's your favorite kind of animal, and that's it. So what we're going to do is we'll come up here to export. That's going to bring up this screen right here. It's going to ask us, what do we want to give it for a name? I'm going to leave it as Pets3. It's going to say, where do you want to publish it to? I'm going to say YouTube, and then I'll leave that name there. That's just fine. This is a quick description, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to set this to unlisted. I'm actually going to leave this uploaded and linked in the description down below so that you guys can go over there and check it out when you're ready to do that. So I'm going to leave that unlisted. Now, one thing I did notice from a previous test is tags don't work. Skip tags, at least for right now. They didn't transport over to YouTube when I did that. So just ignore tags on Flixier for right now. Now, if I wanted to, I could also export this to Google Drive or Dropbox if I wanted to have my own copy of it. I could also upload it to Vimeo if I had a Vimeo account that I was publishing to. But for the sake of what I'm going to do right now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to publish this 12-second clip over to YouTube just by clicking Export Video. So now it's going to say, do you want to go back to your project or do you want to go back to your dashboard? For the sake of what we're doing here, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And here we can see that we've got an export going right here. And this may take it a minute or two. I know that on the website, if you visited that, it says, export just about any video within a minute. That is kind of, unfortunately, kind of up to AWS as far as how quickly that gets done. I've had it take anywhere from just a few seconds to a couple of minutes, depending on the length and the complexity of the video. But here you can see we're already up to 80%. It says it's got about 10 seconds left. So I think that's probably pretty accurate. So we'll just go ahead and hang out, let this do its thing. And then I'll show you kind of what things look like from there. Okay, so now it says it's completely rendered. That's good. Now up here, it's spinning and it's saying that YouTube, or that it's doing something with YouTube. When the video is actually exported, you'll see the top corner look more like this. It'll have a green YouTube icon up there, or it's green for now anyway. So we'll just kind of hang out and let this do its thing a little longer. But what we can do is we'll come back over to our home screen here. We'll go to videos. This is a previous export, and what we should see is Pets3 as the video name once the new video has actually done its thing. Okay, so here we go. Now we've got Pets 3. That's there. That's good. It's got our quick description in there. Everything that I put in there is there. Again, I did say to skip tags just for the time being because they didn't import last time. I had done tags on this test project for YouTube. And none of the tags that I had put in over here transported over to here. So I skipped those in this case. So if we come in here, we can take a look. Of course, we'll want to upload our own thumbnail. We'll want to say, is it for kids? We'll want to put in our tags, that sort of thing. But that's how easy it is to publish a video from Flixier over to YouTube. So at the beginning of this video, I'd mentioned how Flixier is kind of the Google Stadia of editing. And what I mean by that is the whole time up to this point, I've been recording all of the footage and everything on my main PC, which you can see that I've been editing all of that up here. I've got my screen recording going on up here. That's actually what I'm recording my voice on right now. But if I wanted to, I could then just come down here to my Acer C720 Chromebook, and I could pick this up and just go. So just to kind of show you this. Upload it, but let's say all you've got is maybe an old laptop that's not very well powered anymore, or even worse. So with Flixier, you've got the option to not only just edit on the go, you can pick different devices to edit from. You've got a lot of different options on how you want to do this, whether it's editing part of your video at one place on one device and then taking a portable device with you somewhere else. The Flixier setup is actually really, really cool. Okay guys, so there is Flixier in a nutshell. I want to thank Paul for reaching out to me and letting me get my hands on this early so that I can share it with you guys. Definitely go take a look at the different pricing tiers. They will be changing as time goes on. The numbers that are there just aren't quite right yet. But check it out. Try the free trial. Connect it to your Google account or whatever. Try the free trial. See how you like it. If you've got questions or comments, ideas, things like that, leave those in the comment section down below. That way I can know what you guys are thinking, kind of sort through them and send those off to Paul so that we can add more features and things like that to the Flixier app. So I know we covered a lot in this video, and if you made it this far, thank you. I really do appreciate it. I found this service very interesting, and I hope that you guys would too. Being able to have a powerhouse, editing program and rendering engine on just about any device that has Google Chrome. I will say that this is a very Google Chrome specific kind of thing. It's definitely geared towards Chrome users. But to have this much power and flexibility and editing power in Chrome on any device is actually really cool. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed learning about Flixier. If you did, do me a favor, give the video a thumbs up. It would help me out a bunch. If you like product reviews and tutorials and little things like this, definitely do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, maybe even hit the notification bell if you're into that kind of thing. But I think for right now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. As always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.